So welcome everybody. Miklos asked me to speak extemporaneously on the topic of emerging technologies in accounting with some opportunities and challenges for PhD students. And so I spent a couple of hours putting together a slide deck so I can speak extemporaneously on it. Current passion, as with everybody else, is the world of generative AI and AI in particular. Talk about ESG, sustainability, and XBRL. Talk about blockchain and cryptocurrencies. Just a wide variety of different topics here. So let's start off. Again, I'm sure there's people in the room who've done far deeper research than on areas that I even know. But let me talk about my current passion, as with many others, and that's generative AI. So generative AI, we're spending a lot of time on that these days. As everybody knows, in November 30, 2022, the world changed, and that's not because artificial intelligence is new, and that's not because chatbots are new. As a matter of fact, I've been using a chatbot. Miklos mentioned that he and I met in 1996. I have been using a chatbot to help me in my writing and brainstorming since the late 80s and early 90s, using a DOS product called ThoughtLine and then a Windows product called WriteEZ. So using tools, using chatbots to help with writing, using artificial intelligence. Miklos was doing for this very conference, for the continuous audit conference coming up in November. He has been speaking on artificial intelligence and continuous audit for many decades. So it's not that AI is new. It's not even that generative AI is new, a term that I've found going back to around 2002. But on November 30, 2022, the world came in because the cookies were put on the bottom shelf where the kiddies can get at it. Artificial intelligence is any use of computers or systems to do tasks normally thought of as requiring a person with their intelligence to do it. Generative AI, as you guys know, is many layers down in the AI stack, from artificial intelligence to machine learning as part of artificial intelligence, to deep learning as part of artificial intelligence, to generative AI. And generative AI means that we're going to take some training, we're going to have some input, and we're going to transform the input and the training into some kind of output. We're going to have text come out, we're going to have audio come out, we're going to have video come out, we're going to have graphics come out, we're going to have actions come out, but it's some act using computer technology to turn text or audio or video or combinations thereof and turn them into something else. The phrase that most people know is ChatGPT, and that's chat as in a chatbot, the ability to use natural language processing and make it very interactive with people, and add it to the generative pre-trained transformer. Generative means you make something new. Pre-trained means you've got training in place. Transformer means you're turning something into something else. So we've got generative AI, and from November 30, 2022, with ChatGPT, we now have so many different things, thousands and tens of thousands of things that leverage this technology that people love to use. And again, your school, and I don't know about Rutgers, but I assume so, has a relationship with Microsoft so that you can be using copilot.microsoft.com to safely type in content and have it return text or audio, graphics or other things. I'll be giving you my top 10 things that I love to do with generative AI in just a minute here. But again, being accountants, we care about generative AI and the application in accounting. And again, AI has been around since forever, and generative AI is just one small subclass of a subclass of a subclass. When it comes to things like forecasting or financial statement preparation or audit evidence, it's possible that something else may be a better tool for you, or something else working with generative AI. But again, it's that making it broadly available to everybody, making it so even the managing partner at a CPA firm is willing to play with it, that has made it so that firms are saying, how can I use this to better prepare a financial statement to go through and look for or create audit evidence or do forecasting. So a blessing and a curse, a blessing that it can look through things like audit evidence. It can look through a 500-page document coming from the Security and Exchange Commission or the PCOB and summarize it for you, or go through a client's documents. But it also has its dark side that people can now do and create documents far more easily than they did before. Again, not necessarily anything new, but it's just really made it an awful lot easier to do good things and bad things. And I know Miklos is doing a lot of speaking on this, and I know you guys are already doing a lot of work in this place. I wanted to share sort of my top 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, give or take. What are the things that I love to use generative AI for? I don't know if you guys would have any reason or interest in following me on LinkedIn. I talk about my experiments with tools. I talk about where we're going. I talk about what's happening at the PCOB. And when I need to come up with humor, Pi.AI is probably the place that I go to the most. Pi is an AI tool. It's based on GPT 3.5 or 4, some version like that. Pi is known for having the highest EQ, emotional quotient, as opposed to just being smart in talking to people very conversationally, acting like it knows what it talks about and doing a really good job at it. Pi is the AI that Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft, said that everybody should be using as an assistant. So I love Pi, and again, I particularly use it for humor. But when I'm trying to get work done, I'm probably going to turn to Claude these days. A couple of weeks ago, Claude from Anthropic came up with a new feature called Artifacts. And if you haven't played with this, working on your theses, working on your projects, when you interact with Claude, if it's going to be creating some sort of an outcome, it will create an artifact, sort of different items on the desktop. It will track different versions of those artifacts. And so as you have your normal threaded conversation with Claude, you'll have what you type, you'll have its response, but over on the right-hand side, you'll have the results of the response. And you can call back to them at any time. And you can share those artifacts with other people so that they can bring them into their work. So if you do programming, creates program codes and versions of the code. If you create programming, maybe you like to do a game, you can run the game over there on the right-hand side and share it with some other people. So Claude, very bright, and they've introduced in the 3.5 Sonnet something called Math Vista. So new layers of math that in many ways compete with, if not excel, with people, because these things are horrible at math. So Claude with artifacts is one of my favorite tools right now. Creating images. And I understand DALL-E just got a little bit better, but they're really, really horrible at text. If you're going to be creating an image and you need to have some text, and I got a little one at the end of the presentation, I like a tool called Ideogram. Ideogram does a good job on images, a fantastic job on readable text. And when you go to Ideogram, you'll see a gallery. You'll see things that other people are creating, click through, find out their prompts and reuse them. A great way to learn how to do prompting. In general, I keep using ChatGPT. It always seems to surprise me with its capabilities. I had the need to look through a old PDF file, a multiple 100-page, 31.5 meg PDF file, and tried to bring that into Copilot, tried to bring it into Gemini, tried to bring it into Claude, and it was really ChatGPT that was able to break through and let me do that work. So again, I use lots of different tools. I've got a wide stable, but ChatGPT, the OG, has really surprised me sometimes in its capabilities. Gemini AI Studio. So Gemini is just Google's alternative to Copilot or ChatGPT. If you go to the AI Studio version of it, it has something called the 2 million token context window. And what that means is that you can bring in up to 2 hours of video and to interrogate it. Now, I don't find Gemini as smart or as have the ability to think through things as ChatGPT or Claude. But when it just comes down to nothing else is going to do it, I'll go to Gemini and AI Studio. For discovery of bits and bobs, for how to do transformations so for little miscellaneous tasks that you may not have known that you could do. And so Hugging Face is a big open source kind of place. Last time I looked, like 14,000 different little programs, and a bunch of them run on something called Hugging Face Spaces, which means even non-technical people can go and try them out there. But then you can go ahead and download them to your own machines. So for example, in the accounting space, Hugging Face has something that lets you look through something like a company does a speech. They bring people together for a meeting, and you want to go ahead and do a sentiment analysis on what's said. And Hugging Face has got a little app for that. So if you're wondering if there is an app for that specialized function, Hugging Face, or there's another website called there's an AI for that, where you can find a lot of little things. If you want to discover tomorrow's Gen AI, there's a site called the Chatbot Arena. It's where ChatGPT actually introduced 4.0 for the first time. That's where a lot of people put up there. You don't know that it's them until you go in, you type in searches. Chatbot Arena pits one AI against another. You tell it which one you like better, and then that winds up on a scoreboard. Groq, Groq, incredibly fast responses. You have your choice of different open source LLMs, like the latest llamas, and it just will return things very fast. So if you're looking for the fastest possible answer, there's Groq. I love using Suno for making music. 11 Labs lets you do things in lots of different languages. If you're going to be doing a speech and you've got a video of you talking, and you would like to send that to people in other uh, that speak other languages, I love to use HeyGen for that. I do something and then I want to send it up to my friends in Eastern Canada and they want it to be in French. I hit the button, it creates a French version. My lips move in French. So one video for many different regions, many different languages. Uh, does the current version of Zoom that you're using include the summary or the AI assistant? Do you know on yours here? So uh, for sometimes for the ones that are run by schools or enterprises, it doesn't have it. My personal one has two additional buttons at the bottom of Zoom. One's called AI Assistant, and so when someone goes to the chat, someone can say, "Hey, what did I miss?" And it will create a summary of what they missed, or was my name mentioned, and it will automatically let people know what their names are. The summary is like a note taker. It keeps track of everything going on. It summarizes what was said. It comes up with the action items. And so, again, depending on your version of Zoom, there's some great stuff. And just one more thing, my favorite thing list here is LM Studio. Uh, I have an older laptop, which is why my video's not on right now, but I'll turn it off and turn on but what that lets just about anybody do is take the open source models like Llama, and then you can just run them on your own computer. And in the accounting and audit world, where we care about things like confidentiality and privacy, and you want to type things and you don't necessarily want Anthropic or OpenAI or Microsoft or Google to have access to it, it gives you that kind of power. So just some of my favorite things these days. In terms of research, I've been working. I despise the word hallucination, which is what everybody uses as a term to when you get some sort of an undesirable result out of an LLM. Uh, and a lot of times people are getting undesirable results because they don't know how to type in things correctly, because they don't understand that an LLM isn't actually a brain, and they're asking it to do math or other tasks that it's not designed to do, because it is broadly a next word predictor, tokenizer, next word predictor based on the vectors and the weights. And so you've got user misunderstanding, you've got environmental errors, you've got guardrails that stop you from getting what you want. And so the results are hallucinations, and again, I go on to define those, but a broader world of confabulations and other kinds of things. My goal with this research is to, well, broadly, what I've been doing for a couple of decades, which is the value of standardization, that if we can have a shared taxonomy of these results, that it's going to make easier for example, the couple of dozen different AI folks in the US that are trying to work with the White House, that they can share results and share it with more knowledge of what they're talking about. So an enterprise can have greater controls as they go to adopt it, so that users can provide better feedback. So that this is one of the areas I'm working on. But again, for you guys, especially in the accounting world, and I know Miklos again is being called to this. People are saying, can we be using AI? Can we be using generated AI, generative AI, to help with the creation or analysis of financial statements, to help with the creation and analysis of the U.S. GAAP and other taxonomies, to figure out how we can better incorporate risk and statistics and analytical methods. And again, just testing out new AI-based tools that can help in these processes. So just throwing out some ideas. But in the broader sense, starting this week, there's a new law going in place in Europe called the EU Artificial Intelligence Act. So again, going into effect this week, and I'll show you the timeline. But there are lots and lots of different things about protecting people from AI-related risks and biases, and lots of challenges. And the Act is going to be working on banning certain AI practices that are particularly risky for high-risk AIs, provides strict new requirements for high risk, and it goes on to define those, including the necessity of human oversight and rigorous testing, bringing new transparency obligations, especially for chatbots, and creating a new European AI board to facilitate administration. And again, I know way too much information, hard to read. August 1st, 2024, the EU Act goes into force, and then on an expanded basis, new rules, new parties come into play here. So again, I won't read that to you, but you'll have that in the slide deck. And again, things that you can do about AI and human rights and data protection. That's going on in Europe. How does that affect the US? How does that affect other regions? What about AI and promoting transparency? You may have heard that a well-known person today put out a deep fake about a certain political candidate. And is that right or wrong? And should there be rules in place? And how do we integrate AI ethics into our existing ethical frameworks? I know IA has been working on that, but again, PCOB, AICPA, and others trying to figure out what they should be doing. What does the EU Act do to help us here?